Well, hey, everyone. How you doing tonight? Let me make sure my YouTube is muted and that I am looking at my channel here. Hope you guys are doing great tonight. Wow. So, hey, Charlie. Yeah, so matter of fact, Charlie, I'm going to drop a link on here already. Because this was kind of impromptu. I didn't really... Hey, Randy. Thanks for messaging me, bud. I was talking to my brother. That's why I'm a little bit late this evening. And let me pin that message. But, yeah, I've got a bunch of... I don't know. I don't know what to do. So I'll be glad when maybe Charlie comes in here and can give me some... fatherly advice since he just had a birthday. Uncle Charlie, that's what we're going to call him. Let me lift my chair up. There we go. Get things going. No hillbillies tonight. I think they're taking a break right now, as far as I know. Grandfatherly advice, Phil says. Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian, hit the link, man. Come on in. We're gonna talk equipment and bees. Hey, Brad, Grayson, Phil, Larry. Hey, Mr. Larry. Here's Charlie. Charlie, happy birthday. Late birthday now. Happy late birthday. Man, I need to sell about 50 deep boxes. That's what I need to sell to make it worth me buying a pallet of them. So I found a line on pallets, which I had already looked at them before, but Larry tuned me back into them. And they're 150 deeps to a pallet. However, you can't just buy boxes. So if you buy 100 boxes, you need 1,000 frames to go in those boxes, right? So there is some things as far as beaconomics that just don't make sense, guys. These prices that people are charging for boxes are effing insane. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I'm at an impasse right now. So it's like I've got boxes that need to be replaced, and I'm kind of like, well, I could just go to the local guy and buy pay the high astronomical price that they have on these boxes. And boxes that I was paying $18 for last year are now $26, $27 a piece, right? And it's the same exact box that I can buy on a pallet out of Florida and get a hell of a deal on them.
How much is the shipping now?
Well,
that's what kills you.
The cost that if the shipping quote that he gave me out of Miami is appropriate, he's quoted me $180 for shipping. So it's
cheap.
a little over $1 a box to be shipped.
That's cheap.
And it's just to the point now that it's like, okay, so let's say I go buy 50 boxes and they're $26.95, or let's just say $27, right? 27 times 50, because they're going to add tax and everything. So it's probably going to be closer to $30, right? So that's $1,350 for 50 boxes.
Don't you have resales tax number?
Yeah, I'm a wholesale. I can buy wholesale. The problem is everything is, I don't know if you've looked where I live. Everything's in North Carolina, Georgia, California, Florida. So it's like, even if I went to Georgia, it's a long drive.
I got one of my beekeepers moved down there about where you're at. And they were like, we can't find around where we live. There's
nothing.
Bee supplies everywhere. Down there, he said they had a hell of a time trying to find a couple boxes.
Yeah, that's my problem right now. So even with the co-op, on paper it looks great. The prices look great, but by the time you put in the shipping from California over to South Carolina, and then it's got to be repacked into like everybody's specific orders, then it's got to be shipped to them. Well, then it's like you're right back up to where you are just about, is it cheaper at that point? That's the dilemma. Yeah. The problem is if all the Amish guys are like in Ohio, Pennsylvania, up that way, right? So then I'm still looking at shipping from half of the United States away from me. There's nothing in the Southeast. Tennessee, if I went
and what did I kept telling you to do?
Yep. I should have bought the damn pallet when I was there at Hive Life. And just
but what I'm getting at is you need to start being a supplier in your area.
Well, that takes money. That's the problem.
Well, I know that. Well, I mean, you seem to have plenty. You're buying bottling machines and.
Hey, me and my wife got into it about that today. By the way, we'll go over that. So, she said, "When are we going to start paying these?" Keep in mind, it's the 19th. Hive Life was a week and a half ago. Didn't we come home like last weekend? It hasn't even been like 7 days, right? And she's already on me about the stuff. So, yeah, and that's where I'm running into it, is if I could just get to the point to where I could buy the stuff and have it up here, could definitely get it going. And the money that I'm waiting on now looks like it's not going to be here till March. So it's like, well, here we go again. If I get it in March and I buy the stuff that I need, well, then I'm assembling in the middle of the bee season, right? And somebody smash GF, please, in the chat. And so, if I sold 50 boxes at $20 a piece, then it would make it worth it for me to buy the pallet and have it shipped up here for what I needed. And that's still $7 cheaper.
Put it hide user on this channel or what?
Do what?
How do you kill that gremlin?
Somebody got him. Phil got him. Phil got him.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's one of the things. Today, I went out for a little while in the yard, and I took a Pro Nuke. It was 70 degrees. I took a Pro Nuke on one of my really strong hives and started shaking frames of brood into the Pro Nuke, and then added nurse bees into one of my struggling colonies to give them more of a force to take care of the brood in there and hopefully get that queen ramping up. It's just, I'm at that point to where I need to grow, but I can't afford to grow right now because of the way the boxes are, So that's another reason for the co-op, right? To help people grow. I don't even see how people will get into beekeeping and try to scale it up at the prices that everything is right now. It's really insane.
Hey, Mike.
So it's really frustrating to me, but as far as that, and then with my swarm lure, the people at Blythewood aren't that fond of me anymore, even though they didn't mind taking my money for all those years, right? So try to improve yourself, and things change. Yeah. Well, you need 1x12s to make deeps, right? So the current price of a 1x12 8-foot is about $20, and I think you can make one out of an 8-foot section, right? Is that right? Because they're like 14 inches long on two sides and something like that.
Yeah, I was looking at Phil up there at 33 Mile. He's pulling the trigger on 20 hives at $175 a pop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having second thoughts about pulling the trigger. So are you looking to buy nukes at 175 or boxes? I used to, one buy is outrageous right now. So, I mean, making the box, then you come into the whole dilemma. Well, if I'm paying $20 for the box or for the wood, and then I have to spend 3 hours making each box, I don't have jigs and all that set up, right? So I would have to definitely spend a day doing that and putting them together.
Well, I think like Brian out there at Flower Street, I think he's. I mean, did you?
Well,
your
here's
split,
the thing.
Did it work? Did it work?
Well, I didn't really. I mean, all I did was I just shook nurse bees over, right? Today, a really packed colony. I shook a bunch of frames of bees into a box, and the ones that were left not flying, I just added them into the other colony. So to try to give them a little bit of.
Yeah, but are you letting them make their own queen or what?
No, they have a queen. There's a queen in that box. Just for some reason, the cluster's not that big. Yeah.
So you basically downsized their space.
Yeah. So that was that big, tall, strong colony now has a cluster probably that big in there. That's it. In the mediums, not in the deep, just in the medium. So I was like, well, they need more bees if they're going to make it. They've got food, but they don't have enough bees because the queen can only lay a cluster about that size, right? So it'll take them a while.
It's still early.
Well, yeah, and we're going to get cold again.
It's way early for me. I'm not. You say how hot it was? 80 degrees, you say?
Here it was 70 plus today. It was over 70. It's a little overcast, but.
And what's the average nighttime temperature right now?
Yesterday it was 63, I think, yesterday. Yeah, but it's going to drop back down cold again. But I just wanted to make sure that queen had enough bees there to keep her warm and keep her going. If you're
condensing the box down because of the size of the cluster, condense the box down to a smaller area for those. They can better manipulate their heat and everything like that, which is good. Mm-hmm. Now, you said a Pro Nuke, which is plastic.
Well, all I did was shake the bees into the Pro Nuke from one colony and carry them over to the other colony, and then add them like a package, right? So just give them extra bee power over there. And but gosh, the pollen in these frames, like we were talking about, they got nice red, yellow, green pollen in there now. They're packing pollen in at the moment. So
naturally, natural pollen.
So they're gonna start. She's gonna start doing her thing. You know, I just gotta make sure that she's got enough bees not to die. And that's what I was more worried about, because there's plenty of brooding bees in the other colony getting ready to hatch out. Yeah, Home Depot 1 by 12 by 8 foot kiln drying, $27 for one board. So the only way to get them is really
get 8 board feet.
Yeah, but how many? You can get 1.5 boxes out of that, maybe. So 50 boxes makes $3 or $54 before tax makes 3 boxes. So that's still in.
And then you got your labor involved.
Yeah, then the labor time and the glue and painting, and so yeah, there is a bunch to do. Honestly, guys, I mean, hey, trust me, if you're a woodworker and like to do that type of thing, and that's your gig, I totally respect that. But honestly, I don't find, now let me preface this with saying, if you're making boxes out of the same materials that you can buy the boxes for, I'm not saying if you're building them out of pallet wood and you clamp them all together or whatever, however you do it, it's fine. I'm not down talking anything. I'm just saying that with the same quality material that you store-bought boxes are, they're too high. I mean, I even got a thing from Appalachian Hivery, right? That they had some extra boxes, but they're $30 a damn box. If you got 2 colonies, okay, $60, that's not a problem. But if you've got 20 colonies and you're trying to go to 40 colonies, now you're spending, $1,200 to get deeps for the rest of them. So that is the dilemma. Even used equipment. Go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Craigslist, go on all over, wherever you buy, you offer up, wherever. The prices people are looking, because the people that are selling used equipment are now going to look at the prices of new equipment. They're like, oh, well, new, that's $30 a box. So this 5-year-old box that has some paint on it and some water rot, oh, I can get $20 for that. Where last year you could get it for $10, or something like that. So that's kind of the dilemma that I'm going through.
How much was your boxes unassembled
last year?
I mean, what this pallet load?
Before shipping or after shipping?
Well, let's say after shipping.
$13.20.
Okay.
Medium boxes, before shipping were like $9 a piece. If you got mediums. Now, see, this is making me think more along the lines of Charlie now. I have a metric ton of medium 10 frame boxes outside. And a lot of them don't have drawn comb in them. And those were my honey supers, but I didn't use them this year. I didn't get to use them. So my thoughts are, maybe I start expanding into double medium boxes instead of a single 10 frame and use what I've got, but then I'll run into a honey harvest problem, possibly.
Well, what you're trying to do is sell equipment, right? I mean, that's your
well
trying to work yourself into that.
Trying to work up to that. However, the main goal is right now I got to take care of my bees, right? I got to make sure I've got the equipment I need going into it. And if a byproduct of that is I can sell some, well, and it helps offset the cost of mine, great. You know, the problem is like, and it's not a problem, but like let's say people in our chat here, let's say, hey, I'll buy 50 boxes. I'll go in with, or 50 boxes. I'll go in with you. Well, are you going to drive to pick them up, or now do I have to pack 50 boxes up and ship them to you? Because that's going to take that price up. Right now I have about 20 deeps outside that are available, not including my nukes, right? I've got nuke boxes and I've got 2 frame nukes, but I've got about 20 deeps that don't have anything in them. And so in some of those, we already know from my videos have bowed at the frame rest that I'm trying to get to draw back in. So that's the
Hanley, let me tell you something. The sawmill is not going to make it cheaper, let me tell you. You got to have something that's dry. So you got to buy dry lumber.
Right. So that's the yeah, see, that's the thing. So the extra boxes that I have, I'm trying to think spring, right? Even if I don't sell a nuke, guys, just if I split my colonies into my own colonies for expansion, right? I need boxes, or I at least need the boxes I have in better shape than they are now. So that's an issue. That's the issue that I'm looking at right now. And let me see. I'm trying to read both chats here. Yeah, see, so some people can do that and build their frames and all of that. For me, the time, it's already going to take time to assemble boxes, right? So if you get 100 boxes, it's already going to take time, right? You see James doing it at night. Everybody has to do it when they get it. I wanted polystyrene, but polystyrene is, to me, is super outrageous for styrofoam.
Lawson Creek. Yeah, glad you like the honey there. I don't know. It's just I don't.
1 by 12 by 12 at Home Depot are $25. It makes 2 boxes. So that means you need at least 6 board feet to make 1 box.
But you got to have the tools and setup, just like you were saying.
I've got a table saw. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can do it, right?
Well, you got to have a chop saw.
I don't have that. I don't have
to get your miter cuts right, and then you gotta. The only way you're going to do joinery is probably do a rabbet.
Yeah,
it would be the easiest way, and then you would have to buy a dado head to do that.
And the styrofoam boxes were like $30 a piece too, 30 something bucks. Yeah, bees. Right now I'm almost. I hate to say thinking about taking the year off, but not from beekeeping, but just grow to the equipment I've got and do the best I can. I mean, because right now I probably still need to buy $1,000 worth of frames. I've got some frames, but I don't have enough to fill all my boxes up.
A couple cases of acorn.
Yeah, a couple cases, Charlie. That's 104 on deeps and 144 on mediums, right? That's only 11 boxes when you got 50 boxes.
I get that. It just you need to kind of. I mean, it's hard for me to. You're several months ahead of me as far as population growth and how you start your bee season, and
then if you sell nukes, you're getting rid of frames.
Well, in your situation, if you're really wanting to grow, I would not sell the nukes, at least this coming year. I would do a lot of splits into nukes and grow my nukes into my 10 frame honey hives. And, if you're wanting to get, you're what, at 20 some hives at this time?
Actually, right now, as we sit, 19.
Okay.
So
I mean, it's like myself. I'm at 26 or 27. I didn't lose any nukes. I actually had to utilize my nukes as my insurance policies for my honey hives in order to make sure they had queens to get through the winter and all. And so far, so good.
So, people wonder
so now
why.
I got a certain amount of nukes I'm selling. Right now, some people have already ordered, and I got to watch that real close. And then I've got to completely build back up at least 20 nukes. If I don't know, it seems like to me I need to do 20 nukes, and I need to do 4 or 5 nukes of my own in mediums in order to keep enough insurance policy for myself.
Right.
So, and that kind of stuff.
Well, that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's why, guys, to be honest with you, that's how the whole thing started, as far as the beeconomics, right? It's just trying to find ways to be able to offset these costs to grow my apiary.
Well, right now you've been telling me that honey sales, you got sales is what I'm saying.
I do.
But you don't have quite. You have to kind of like.
I do
have to meter out the honey because you want it to last a little longer.
Right.
So I mean, it sounds like to me you need to grow your apiary this year. Get your honey colonies up to 30, and try to get it 30 or something of that nature.
I should be able to
always remember what Ian says. Grow. What is it? Grow with your bees.
He says, yeah, grow with your bees. He says, buy your equipment, build your bees, right? Or make your bees. Buy your equipment, make your bees, I think is his saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, let's grow your bees and build your equipment or whatever it was. It's basically don't go out and buy bees. Make your own bees. It's it's there able to do it.
The only thing that kind of intrigues me about buying bees is if I could get some bees that came back from the pollination and they're in the deep boxes with frames, then you're getting the equipment and bees at the same time.
And the pesticides and everything else.
Yeah, you are getting see, Charlie, you had to shoot down my rainbow there.
I don't know. I all I can tell you is what I've heard. I've not seen where those bees. I mean, the only one that I know that's gotten bees coming back from out there, and that's Bruce. Is Bruce's bees, and they haven't been sick. Now,
but I think Bruce keeps. Well, last year he lost like 40 colonies. He said,
"Really?
Last?
Yeah, but didn't he get too big? Wasn't that the reason why he got too big and he couldn't manage it?
Yeah, I think he wasn't on top of his game last year. And,
well, he's got a day job like everybody else. He works in a hospital. He's a physical therapist. And, so, I mean, that's
I'm a little perplexed. We got 62 people watching and only 17 thumbs up. That's upsetting, guys. You know better than that. Shame on you. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he works a day job and he's got so I get it. I mean, it's a struggle.
Well, my advice to you would be you've got equipment, you've got frames, you've got boxes, you've kind of learned when to split. Now, you really didn't split today. You more or less condensed bees to try.
I didn't even condense them. I just added bees to them to give them more bees to cover the space, especially the brood frames, right? I mean, they're on mediums, but they're probably on 5 mediums, right? So I say
Yeah.
that's about 3 frames of deep, right? And she's laying in there, but there's, medium, small pattern. Um,
Well,
and,
I mean,
and,
it's that time, it isn't spring yet. You might be warm down where you're at, but
but, that's a carny colony. It's my first year with carnies. And some people say that's normal. But then I
right.
go to my Italian colony and it's got a 10 frame deep and 2 mediums on it. And it's just slam full of bees. I'm like,
That's a typical Italian.
so that's where I took the Italian bees. It shook the nurse bees down into the pro nuke, right? And I added Italians to help my carnies out, to try to at least that one colony. I just, if they can keep her warm and keep that brood warm.
Well, you got a small patch there. It kind of shows what they're doing. And I don't like I say, I would you got equipment bought and paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Grow your bees to be able to put those bees in that equipment, which in turn grows your apiary. If you got to go over there to Kudix, get some mated queens and put in there. And like I've said, I've had them, and some queens are good, some queens are not. I mean, it's just kind of the way it is.
Right.
But learn how to graft this year. Up your game, learn how to graft, see how you can do with queen cells, grafting and being accepted. And if you get, after, like I said, the way I do it, you graft, that's day one, put them in a queenless nuke that's just chock full of bees. And in 6 days, if you got 10 out of 20, you got 10 queens right there. You can make, put them in your incubator for another 5 days after the 6 days, and then put them out there in your mating boxes.
Lee box and beehive jig. All you need is a router. I've got a router. I've got a DeWalt router outside in my toolbox.
What's the Lee hive? What's it called?
It's called the Lee box and beehive jig.
That might be that one that's got that slider thing in it. It's a different joint.
So that's the reason, that's how the whole store, how the whole product thing started, and everything with the Beeconomics, right? Take the honey, and flip that, right? Then take the queens and flip that, and just continuously grow that way. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. I mean, because it's all timing, right? You got to have the honey to sell, to buy the queens, to flip the queens. And, I've got some cash from honey sales and some lure sales. And I mean,
yeah, but you need to stop trying to do everything and start focusing. You got 19 hives. All right. You told me a year or more ago when you had that 30 frame extractor that you wanted to grow to, so let's say around 50 hives.
Yeah.
So focus on this year on growth. Don't sell the nukes. Expand your 10 frame hives. Utilize all the equipment that you got right now. Now, if you have to buy frames, okay, buy some frames, whether it be Acorn or wherever. And, it takes, the problem we have with bees is not a continuous staying with every round the clock, 12 months out of the year. You only have a certain, or you have a longer season to achieve things than I do.
Yeah. Mark said with 19 hives, you make honey or bees, not both. Well, so last year when I came I came into spring with 12 colonies, right? And I grew and I sold 10 nukes, right? And I sold a bunch of queens. And then that's kind of condensed back for the winter. Then I've lost a couple of my resource nukes, right? So, so it's been a definitely a learning year, and learned a lot. I mean, a lot from this chat, just us talking about trying different things. This year I've got some double screen boards and stuff like that we can try out to make some splits that way, or maybe pull it up and let them, make that into a queen cell finisher, right? And or a timing box, or take a graph from the queen and move it up to the top where there's just a bunch of bees.
Well, you could do your demery, and then you could, like you said, you're looking for queens. You're looking for queens to make splits for yourself. Mm-hmm. So you do a demery in the hive that you like the best, as far as the queen production and whatever, and being nice. So now with that, you're going to pull a frame or two of open larvae eggs up there, and then you're going to, in 3 days, you ought to see queen cells started. All right. You can, then you'll get your penknife out, or your, what was the guy that we just talked to? He got a clay knife for cutting, like a person who
one of those wire cutters that you use for sculpting clay or something.
It's like a box looking thing, and I forget who it was on our chat Friday night. I think, yeah, it was on Friday night. I don't know what it was, Brian from Flower Street or who.
Or Brad or somebody.
Go into one of these craft stores, and where they have clay, and they got the tools for that. And it's kind of like one of them square rakes you see in the garden section of it. It's got, it's sort of like a hoop looking thing.
Right.
And you cut that down. You can hook it in behind the queen cell and just slide it right straight down, and it'll cut that queen cell off of that comb. Just sounds to me perfectly. And harvest them queen cells and start making splits. And, make 25 nukes out there. Now you got 25 more hives, and put the nukes where you want the big hives to sit, so you don't have to worry about moving them.
Right.
I mean, right now I got those hives right behind me. I got 12 honey hives. They're all 10 frame. And then where you can't see off that way is the building. That's where my nukes are on their hive stands. And there's only about 15 of them right there right now, I believe. And I need to put at least 5 or more nukes, rebuild. So I'm going to drop 2 frame mating boxes wherever I have a spot. I need to have a hive. And then I'm going to grow them from 2 to 5 and 5 to 10.
Yeah. So when we start looking at like those, $140 is $28 a box. Unassembled, shipped, right? Buying them from Florida, I could buy 10 boxes for $120. So that's the problem, is you have to buy them by the pallet, right? I mean, it's not a problem from the aspect of, will I ever use them? Yeah, I probably would use them.
Problem of it is you don't have the capital.
The problem is you got to pay $2,000 to get that pallet to you, right? And then, hey, that's only half of it, because if you got 150 boxes, you need 1,500 frames to go in those boxes, right? So now you're talking another $2,000.
Are you trying to use those all them boxes, or are you trying to sell them boxes?
Well, I was trying to do a mix of it, right? So if I sold 50 boxes, and even if I sold them locally for $20 a box, that's $7 cheaper than anywhere else. And that's $1,000 towards my 1,800, which that means I got 100 boxes for $800, right? So then they're $8.30 a piece for me. Does that make sense? The economics on
Yeah,
that?
all I'm saying is you don't have to supply the frames. Let the buyer buy the frames. Buy their own frames is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Hey, Mike, we haven't even said hey to you yet.
Hey, by the way, I can't see anybody else's chats. I've never done this on my goofy ass phone before, so
I
if other
think
people
it's
are throwing comments, I can't. There's probably a way to do it, Charlie.
I think there's a down arrow or something. The chat will be underneath our pictures.
Yeah, I saw that, and when I bring it up, it for whatever reason doesn't want to do it. But as long as I can do portable here, though, I thought Bob, you might get a kick out of this. Go in my antique and see what I've got going here, and if that shows up.
Slum gum?
There we go. Ghost pepper.
Ghost pepper honey?
Yeah.
Nice. I thought you were boiling some slum gum wax at first.
Funny guy.
Well, it looks, all I could see is dark in the pot with stuff floating in it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's I could probably, oh, wait a sec. There we go. That's right. I got different light in here. See if that shows up.
Yeah. That looks good.
Yeah. So I got my peppers mix in, the fresh peppers mixes in there, and so on. So so I had to throw my little 2 cents in here. Not that it's asked for, but I think Charlie's got a great point. Trying to figure out what you're going to do there. And you got such a wide shotgun thing going on there, Bob.
Well,
we all want to see you succeed. We all want to see everyone succeed. But
I'm in a geographical anomaly of an area.
Oh, how so?
Okay, so the nearest bee store is 30
I'll be
miles
back.
from. Okay, it's 30 miles from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you either pay those astronomical $28 a box price, right? Plus, if you haven't looked at the price of frames retail lately, they're $3 a piece, right? So it's $60 for a box of frames and a box of with foundation, right? So $3. So $60 a box.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend several hundred. Or you go the other way and you put a bunch of money out, and do like everything else I've done on a wing and a prayer to hope to return the money, right? So
yeah, I get that, but how much of your time is that going to take? What's your return on investment as far as your time and your initial outlay? That's something you're going to have to figure out. And I'm not correcting you one way or another. I'm just saying, you got to look at those two figures: your time and your capital outlay.
Right. That's the big thing. I mean, that's why started with Apis. That's why I did the swarm lure, is always to offset the beekeeping journey, right? Yep. Did I have to put money out for it? Yes, absolutely. I put money out, but return on the investment, right? Even the Carousel cups, people were looking for them. I found them. I bought them, resell them. It's and because I have a reseller's license, it does offer me a discount. It's not as great as what everybody thinks all the time. Oh, well, he's a wholesaler, he's getting it cheap. But then when I find that I can call somewhere and buy boxes after shipping for $12, and then you go to the same store that retails them and they're getting $28 a box, it's like, what are you trying to do? Retire on me? I mean, I get it. It's capitalism, right? You gotta make money to pay the lights and
well, I mean, now you got to look at it. Situation where, right, number one, do they own the storefront that they have? And you got insurances to pay over, electric and the whole bunch of stuff. So you gotta, you got to spread that cost across all the products, I guess you would say.
Hail Hives is busting my chops. I told everybody what my problem was, why I didn't buy that stuff at Hive Life. I didn't have a trailer. I didn't have anywhere to secure it, so it had just been sitting in the back of my truck on a pallet in a parking lot, surrounded by 2,000 beekeepers that are, some may not be as nice as all you guys. That's all I'm saying. I don't know them, That's all I'm saying. I'm not calling anybody out. I just don't know everybody, and some of the boxes, I'll say some of it's on me because I let them build them, right? And not knowing that they didn't use glue when they built them. So next year will be different. I'll bring a trailer next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Actually, speaking of glue, there's one of the major beekeepers that was selling some equipment there and wasn't gluing it. And I'm not going to say who it was. You can go through the videos and find it for yourself. But I was a little taken back by that. Because when they make their own, they're using the tight bond and all that stuff. And that was just kind of interesting. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? But
yeah,
if you want to go and try and figure out, how much money are you looking at making once you sell them? How many of the boxes you're going to keep and so on. Vince and I are sitting down looking at when we build the white oak bottom boards.
Mm-hmm.
We know basically how much it's going to cost us to do it. And we know how much time it's going to go. And the great unknown is how many people in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa are going to buy them. So
Right.
there's market research and that kind of stuff, but we're not going to try and sell 8 different things from Sunday.
Well, that's my thing. Like I've even been looking at building bottom boards with a bottom entrance, right?
I thought a little bit more about that. Again, advice you're not looking for or didn't ask for, but there's no market for them here.
Well, there's a market for them in my yard if it keeps hive beetles from being able to go up, right? If they can't come and hover up into the hive.
I really, really, really want to see you do that.
But
bring it on and give it a run, please.
But the thing is that, they say hive beetles can't hover, but if they can walk upside down like they do on an inner cover or on a lid, then there's nothing to stop them from landing and trying to walk around the edge of a board to get up in there, I guess,
Yeah, so go check out Jeff Willard and look at the paint that he's using that the hive beetles can't walk on. And it's some type of Rust-Oleum Teflon paint. I can't remember what it is. But if you want to look at doing that, but I can't remember if the bees can walk on it or not. That's the funny part. He's got like 4 videos of that going up, including a crap load of hive beetles that he got in a box. And, it's like, okay, guys, try and climb up the wall here. And I guess you could paint that, whatever.
Right.
But I'm saying, don't build a bunch of these expecting to sell them. But I really, really want to use them
on my own.
So you were looking at some of the people in Europe that were doing those things. Do they have hive beetles where they use them?
No, they weren't. Their main issue was they said it keeps the wasps from being able to get in, like yellow jackets and stuff like that.
Really?
So, yeah, and mice can't get in it. So but the way they were doing it, I don't think it would stop hive beetles because they actually still use it's like a landing board. Then the bees got to walk up the back wall to get in.
Oh, very interesting.
So they just have like a 3/8 gap in the floor.
Yeah.
Space so the bees can walk up the back wall.
Man, try it out. I absolutely encourage you to try it out.
And you can build it with a 1x4, so it's not like real expensive.
No, give it a shot.
Well, hey Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Hey Bob.
Man, look at you, all clear and good internet and all that stuff tonight.
Everything's good.
Good to see you.
How's your weather there, Tom? I know how Charlie's is.
Yeah, it's rain. Good. You close the door.
Yeah. Charlie, I was just talking to my cousin out there. It looks like you're going to have some wind here. And I saw the rain that went over you today. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was a sort of light shower, drizzle, fog. And this evening it got foggy. And it was one of them kind of a raw, miserable day.
Yeah.
And everything. But I did sell 6 pounds of honey today, so that wasn't too bad.
Oh, nice.
for a
That's
day.
good.
Oh wow, I can turn it like
But
this.
it's supposed to be nice tomorrow, and then it's supposed to get cold by the weekend, and I don't know. And it's supposed to rain some more next week. So,
Thank you, Robert. Yeah, the Never Wet because it had that weird name on it. Yeah, it's just thank you very much.
Well, hey Jay, welcome from Belfast. Good to see you.
Well, we got someone from Belfast. Wonderful.
No, I haven't ordered anything yet, so that's kind of what I'm waiting. I've got some people still wanting to give an order and haven't given it yet to see what they want. And see, that's the other thing. Then if you're pre-ordering, I got to figure out how to collect money so I can order it to do all that fine and wonderful stuff.
oh,
Because
if I use PayPal charges you a fee, right? A pretty healthy fee on it.
Where did my picture go?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't know where your picture went. You have to check your camera settings.
Yeah. It's like, oh man.
It sounds like you got a good signal too. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, I haven't been seeing my bees out, and the amount of bee drop in the snow is really, really minimum. So I'm not certain what's going on there, but the few bees that are out got covered by 2 inches of snow, the bee drop, and I want to pick all those up and wash them just to see.
Speaking of which, did you watch Stream Team last night?
No.
So I'm going to put the peppermint and menthol to a test this year, a legitimate test. And I'm going to use my bullet lure as an example. So I'm going to mix up the menthol and the peppermint oil into one of my lures with the long deterrent, right? The polyabsorbing crystal.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put these in the corners of the box as compared to using peppermints that have to be replaced all the time.
Okay, so you're talking about one in each corner?
One in each corner, and see if the menthol and peppermint smell will drive the hive beetles away from the hive.
Man, give it a run. Give it a run. You're going to have to figure out your controls and everything else.
Well,
and it would be really kind of fun.
It won't be too hard, right? Some of them will have it and some of them won't have it. And then we'll just have to see, was there hive beetles in here? How many hive beetles?
Yeah. Ideally, you'd be introducing a controlled amount of hive beetles in there yourself and then doing a back test on that with a control. But give it a run any way you do it and see what you got. I look very, very forward to seeing that. I mean, it's just fascinating. I can't believe more people aren't trying to. By the way, did anybody bring a bag of peppermint to give Mr. Ed?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
Oh, man, if nothing else, that would have been really kind of interesting because, Doug and Will, he probably would have tried something like that. Guys, I got to run here. And just when Ed's coming on, too, with that beautiful groomed beard there.
With his Sons of Anarchy jacket on.
I know. It just kind of makes me want to get on a Harley. I love it. It's just absolutely wonderful. Tom, we've never really had a chance to talk. I apologize to everybody here. I think I mentioned what was going on here. We had a Chrome Force update, and I actually have a bunch of customers that their computers went down. I got to reload their operating system and whatnot. It's like, you got to be kidding me. It just, even caused a blue screen of death on the main computer here at the cabin.
Hey, speaking of Windows, I've got to go ahead and show you guys just because I can. Let's see here.
Well, by all means. Hey, how you doing,
Here you
Dave?
go. This is for Spanky. If you notice, there's no activate Windows in the bottom right corner of my Windows screen anymore.
There you go.
I activated Windows. I bought a key off the internet and activated my Windows.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing. I'm actually switching all over to Linux. I'm done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not screwing around anymore. And the only problem that I have I did find a. Oh, by the way, if nobody's checked this stuff out, there's an open source video editing software that's just amazing. I think it's called Spot Cut or Cut Shot. Anyways, it even runs on Linux and Apple and everything else. But yeah, so that's about it. And we're gonna call it a night early here today. We're digging a grave tomorrow, and you know something? We've got 0 frost in the ground here. The snow. In fact, the ice on the lake is only 8 to 12 inches thick. It's
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it. Well, okay.
Once you break through that,
Sounds awful deep to me.
well,
Right.
see, normally we'd be looking at least 2.5 feet thick right now. In fact, people they can't get out in the lake. If they can walk out there through all that deep snow.
That's what you're
But
supposed to
anyways,
do.
enough of that. Well,
You
guys,
can
God
still
bless.
skate on it, right?
No, the snow's so deep. The 4-wheelers go out there and they bottom out and whatnot. The snowmobiles can, you can walk out there and pull a sled, but nobody wants to trudge through 3 feet of snow. So, yeah, we're not even selling minnows at our local store here, which is
Wow.
Well, just
Yeah.
sell some, rent out some snowblowers and blow out paths.
oh, Ed jumped off.
Yeah,
If
looks
it
like
was that simple in an 1,800-acre lake, we'd get back to you. But it turns out it's that way in most of the lakes in Minnesota this year. Just the volume of snow.
You got new spectacles?
I have to put these on. They're my reading glasses, so I can see your handsome faces, gentlemen.
Well, now we know you're lying.
I love you guys. It's a little bit of fun, but no, we just had to do that. So, in the meantime,
There it is.
yeah. So,
All right,
guys,
Mike.
I have a grand night, and I hope to be back up and running here by Tuesday because I've got a whole bunch of interesting questions for Ian there. We've been actually, Ian and I've traded a couple back and forth, but
So it's going to be Ian, Brad, and James. So we're going to have all 3 commercial Canadian beekeepers.
wow.
yeah,
So
yeah,
That'd be good.
Kind of fun.
should
That'll
be
be
good.
kind of a grand thing. I had to.
You know, if I only had raised 3,800 pounds of honey this year, then this whole box conversation wouldn't even be an issue.
Well, you
Yeah.
got the dance going there. That's okay. It'll be a
So-
good thing. So, anyways, and Ed, I haven't checked up on your. You did a long video there coming up, and I haven't been able to get to anybody else's videos. So again, I apologize to everybody. And
I
God
posted one today.
oh, really?
I posted a short one too, also.
Oh man, yeah. See, I can't get to any of them. That's
Right.
the thing that's driving me absolutely badass crazy. So, anyways, you guys take care.
All
You
right.
too.
Have a
Bye.
good night. See you later.
Good night, everybody in the audience. Bye bye.
Bye.
Now, how do I turn this off?
There you go. All right. Cool. So look at that. 4 beautiful shining faces. And Ed. No, I'm just kidding.
I told you I got a face for radio.
There
You
you
and I
go.
both, man.
I put him on a short video I did today. Afterwards, I one of his part of it's showing that I put a swarm trap out and stuck your lure in it. So we're going to try to see what we can get with that.
You know, I
Because,
saw I saw a post on Facebook today. Somebody has already caught a swarm outside of San Antonio this year. January 19th, caught a swarm in San Antonio.
Crazy.
So
yeah.
We
yeah, I
had
was looking
61
in
degrees at 4
Go ahead.
o'clock, and by 6 o'clock we had 45 degrees. So
Yeah, I had checked my May hive today
right.
and found that she's got 7 frames of full brood in there, and
Yeah.
and also in that I have drones been laid too. So I don't know when they're coming out. They're all
And-
capped, so
In the next 3 weeks. Well,
probably
actually, you could probably say in the next 2 weeks once they're capped, right around that area. Are they dark colored or are they light colored cells?
they're light colored cells.
Yeah, that means they're probably more than likely newer caps. So probably within the next 2 weeks, they'll get darker as the bees walk over
Right.
it and stuff. So Yeah, so you're getting ready to explode. I've robbed one of my stronger colonies today. I just took a pro nuke and shook nurse bees in it, right? And basically, I don't know. Hold on, we'll let Tom adjust his mic.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's sensitive. You can hear everything. So,
Hey, what kind of mic you using there? That's a huge one. Did you steal that from a radio station?
No,
what kind of mic is it?
it's just a Mano, not mic.
Okay,
Some off brand.
it works good.
Yeah, it's
it seems to
definitely
work.
loud and sensitive.
The so I basically just shook a bunch of nurse bees off of brood frames into a pro nuke, right? Basically making a package, right, without a queen, and banged them down in a corner and dropped them in a colony that was low on bees to try to give her some more force to take care of her brood when she lays it, to get her going. Last year, the queen did really well. I mean, that nuke that it blew up. It made 3 supers full of honey first year, right? So she did a good job last year. So we have to see how she does this year. And so we're just trying different things to try to grow the yard. I just don't want to be caught with my pants down like I kind of was my first season, right? Where we're in the middle of the year. I'm like, well, I got enough stuff. Well, I didn't, then I'm running out there to buy boxes when I need them, right? I need them right then. So I'm running out to the bee supply house to build boxes, to paint them before I can do what I have to do, what they're waiting, so I'm trying to race that swarm clock to keep them in the box. So that's everything that I've been doing, just looking for equipment, to the point to where I'm tired of looking at bee equipment. I never thought I would say that, but getting kind of tired of looking at the same stuff over and over again. And it's going to get to the point to where I'm just going to be like, what? Well, these 150, I'll use 150 boxes eventually. I might as well just go ahead and get them, And,
I mean, if you can sit there and you take the inventory of what you got now and what your goals are, let's say you're at almost 20, and let's say you want to increase by 20, let's say 40.
Right.
So have you got enough?
I've got enough bottoms and boxes to do that in deeps, but not all my.
You got enough. So basically, you're telling me right now,
I can double.
You have enough equipment to double your capacity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you need to focus on for this coming season. You got that much, and I'm gonna say you don't have probably not enough frames to do all that.
No, probably not. Well, I've got a bunch laying around. I haven't counted them. I know I have at least 100 sitting in my honey house, right? 100 that could be used. And then I've got all my 2-frame nukes probably have 2 frames in them, most of them. And then my 5-frame nukes, some of them have frames in them.
Yeah, but if you start out using your 2-framers and you put them where you want those bees to be in 10-frame, then you're going to pull the 2-framers and put it away for the year. And then you're going to put a 5-frame there. And then once you get that done, you're going to put your 10 frames in. And, this year you're going to grow. You're going to grow 20 hives, 21 hives, because you got 19 right now.
Yep.
Try to grow. Take the hives you got now. Like I said, do that demery, but put yourself eggs up top so they will make queens for you. So now you don't have to buy any queens. Just harvest. Get yourself that little James Manali was the one that I just seen it in the Brian was saying about it, that it was that little clay cutting tool, which will, all I'm saying is it would make it not easier. I mean, you can use a knife. I've used a regular paring knife or something like that. And you can cut them out just as easy almost. And do that. Focus in on that. Get your numbers up. And in the meantime, you're going to be working honey. You're going to get your honey going and start, try to produce more honey than what you did last year.
Well, if I didn't do anything, just the number of colonies I have and the strength should produce more honey than I did last year, because I took those 12 and then, like I said, 3 of them I basically threw in the shit can when I did my early splits, right? So really started with 9. So right now I'm over double what I was last year at the same time.
Well, if you can, let's see, when does your honey flow start in earnest?
Shit, March.
In March?
End of March, yeah.
End of March. 1st of June or 1st of May or April.
Yeah.
1st of April is when your honey flow starts.
Mm-hmm.
And how soon can you start growing hives? You said last year in February you got burnt, right?
I think I started in middle of January. Then I made some in February, and most of those did all right. But I didn't start doing the 2-frame nukes till like later on, like summertime, right? So it was
but what I'm getting at is you had a bunch of splits that they froze or something, got cold on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what time of year was that? It was February 14th.
No, that was like about this time last year.
January.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to get a jump on it because the weather was so warm. And
all right, well then you should learn by that. So that means you shouldn't be doing any splits.
But I do have drones. I have drones in my colonies that I went into today, which surprised me. I'm like, hey, Mr. Drone.
That doesn't surprise me. They
not the numbers I need, but there's drones in there.
But what I'm getting at is that there's a lot of first beginner beekeeper miss is what I call them, is that they tell them these certain things just to kind of get them started. Okay, around here. Oh, if you see your bees up in the vent hole in your inner cover, they're out of food. No, they're not. If it's been,
there could be water up there that they're going
35 degrees and it went up to 50 degrees for the day. Guess what? The hive is broken cluster. Those bees will be all around inside the hive, number one. Number two, if it's a good, strong hive, they'll be up in that area there. That doesn't necessarily tell you that you're running out of food. And so that's a myth. And it's in my opinion, and because of my seeing what I've seen. And then like for you, like I say, I would, if you say you can split in February, somewhere around early February, 2nd week of February, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be making, if you got some hives that are super strong and they got plenty of brood frames in there, once you get in there inspecting, I know you got plenty of pollen. I know you got plenty of sugar water in there because you've been feeding them.
Mm-hmm. And the frames have nectar, it's sugar syrup. They have pollen.
It doesn't matter. It's in the brood chamber. Who cares? They're not making honey. Right. You're not trying to extract that. And
they got red and green and yellow pollen.
Take, like I say, start. If you can do a demery where you can bring that frame up there, or take enough frames and bees out, and where you can make a 2-framer. Well, 2-framers, you might start out with 5 frames, where you got plenty of bees and heat, and
then wait to give it a month.
To be quite honest with you, for you, because it's weather can be a little fluctuating at that early in the year for I presume for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would get, let's see, how would I do this?
So that's the thing right now, right?
Well, what I'm thinking is this. to be safe, go to the hardware store, lumber yard, get yourself some 3/4 inch plywood, and you make a plywood top for that hive. And then you make some sticks where you can set two 5-frame nukes on top of that thing, bore the holes in there, put some 1/8 inch hardware cloth so they can't mix with the bees below. And now you've got 2 heater sources heating those 2 nukes that you just started up there, and let them grow on that and use the heat off of the hives. And you make a kind of like basically make a migratory cover, or like that double screen bottom board that you got from up there at Benny.
Right.
Same concept, double screen bottom board. See, he uses that and puts a big box on top.
See.
And then he puts a nuke in there. Well, all right, there you go. Take your you bought one of them, didn't you, from Bob Benny? The double screen bottom board, or
3 of them.
3 of them? All right. You put that on top of the hive. You put yourself that 10 frame. Now, if you have got some there that haven't been built, you take that thing and you put it on your table saw and you cut a slit in there on the 2 end walls and put yourself a masonite board down the middle. Now you've just made yourself a 5-frame, 4-frame nuke up there. If it's thin enough, maybe 2 5-frame nukes. And now you got the heat from
Below.
the bottom of the hive coming up, heating those 2 nukes up top. Put either, if you can't get queens from over Kudix, then put your eggs up there. Let them put plenty of bees in there and let them make their own queens.
Right.
And
Well,
there
I've
you
seen
go.
what
What I'm saying is it's an insurance policy. If you get the heat off the main hive to begin with, and there's a little fluctuation of heat at night, let's say, a cold snap, the heat off the hives will keep those weak nukes running. And you got yourself a brood factory here.
Right.
You got a nuke factory here. And all.
And that's
that'll give you a head start.
That's the Bugman's an hour east of me, a little over an hour east of me, and he said his mentor starts making packages the first week of March. So we're a month and a half away from him making packages over there. So if that lets you know the time frame we're on how our bees build up where they can shake packages out, which is
yeah, but I think you got the equipment there. You just have to, if you got a disassembled deep.
all my equipment's put together right now, everything I've got. So
all right, fine. Take and draw a line. You got yourself a skill saw.
Yeah.
Well, then you get a board out, and then you set the depth of that skill saw. You make some passes and a scrap board until you get your depth just right. And then you divide that box in half and set it on its side, and then run, if anything.
You got 4 over 4 or 4 on each side, right? 4 frames on each side of the
at least 4, frame, depending on how thick your divider board is. If it's 3/4 of an inch thick, then you're only going to get 4 frames in there. But if you got a masonite board that's about
1/8 of an inch or something like that,
1/8 of an inch, 3/16 thick,
mm-hmm.
You cut a slot down the middle of that thing so it'll slide down in there. And I'm not sure how Benny's got his. What you would have.
No, they got 2 holes in the middle right there.
It's a dead center in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not in a well.
No, they're I guess they're in the center, but they're in a line, right? They're side by side, kind of like straight line.
Off to the sides?
No, they're in the middle of the board.
They're right dead center in the middle.
Yeah, they're not on the side like that.
No, that's still no problem because they're flush. So if you take your slitted board and design it to where it goes all the way to the bottom so the bees can't go underneath, but it
Right.
also comes up to the top of the top edge of the hive.
Right.
Right.
And then you might make it to where it has a little notch that goes into the frame rest. So it's kind of like it has a frame ears to it. And you
Right.
slide it down and it completely divides that box in half. They can't get underneath and they can't get around the edges. And then you put a piece of your bubble wrap on top so they can't cross over the top. Now you got two nukes and you can share. The heat will come up on both sides of that board, a divider board. It'll heat those two nukes that are on the weaker side. If, let's say you put at least 3 frames in there of bees, maybe 4 frames of bees. You got some protection there. You got insurance there.
Well, I think Bob Benny and some of those guys, what they do is they lift some frames of brood up over the mother colony, and then they put a queen excluder in between to let the bees naturally come up and they'll bring up enough bees to take care of that brood, right? And then they pull that off, and then they put the double screen board underneath it.
That's right. You're right. He has one of those demonstration videos where he brings the brood up in the frames, put the queen excluder in, the bees come up, populate the area. He comes back the next day, pulls the queen excluder out, puts the double screen board in.
And the bees have made their own split basically on how many
and the
bees
bees
they
have
need.
Made their own split, correct.
And then he comes
they'll
back
make their
and he
own
can
queen and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got quick, if you got 3 of them boards, you got 6 nukes right there.
I've actually got about 3 or 4 of those deeps with the rabbits already cut in them. But I would have to locate them in all my stuff. The ones that have the slots.
Then do it.
Right. Swap them out.
Swap them out and, get it lined up. And if you can get 6 nukes, ahead of time and keep the heat from the other hives to keep them from dying and all this other stuff, you're going to promote yourself faster.
Right.
And I'm thinking is that these things are going to, you got some time there. You might catch a midsummer flow if you have one, or a late summer flow, and grab some more honey that way.
Right.
The only thing is when you go out for buying sugar, you got to buy that 2 tons of sugar.
Well, I buy the bucket, that. So the
yeah, well, that's another thing. You wanting to buy all these boxes. Now, what you need to be doing is focusing on your, what do you call it?
So my thought was that I would keep not necessarily my stronger hives, but allocate a certain number of my hives to be my splitting colonies, the ones that I split from. The rest of them are my production colonies, right? That I'll just use to grow the honey. And that way I can use, let's say, 5 colonies as the ones that I'm actually continuously splitting off of, where I'm still relegating 14 colonies of what I've got right now to just producing honey. And
yeah, but the more closer to March and April you come, the easier the nukes or the splits will be. You won't have to put them over top of the big hives and all that stuff. I'm just looking at right now, if you've got enough boards there, you could have 6 nukes.
I'm surprised you can't just buy those follower boards that are already like pre-cut and made.
They are. Well, why?
Well,
Man Lake sold them.
Probably $900 a piece at Man Lake.
I don't know.
Let me see. I got Daydan up, Dancing Bee, Anel, Lewis and Sons. These are all tabs that I already have open. Let me see. Oh, I got Man Lake open. Hold on. Man Lake. Move them over to my other screen over here.
Yeah,
follower
Charlie, I
board.
have about 12 double screen boards and I use them a lot, similar to what you're saying.
Well, hey, Man Lake's got the follower board that's 9 5/8 follower board for $7.95 a piece. Of course, I might have to wait 3 years for them to get to me, but they do have
They
them.
do take forever to ship.
Yeah, they do. See what
So
Better Bee has.
right
Or
there,
Beeline.
$7.95.
That's a follower board.
But doesn't that do the same thing if you put it in the middle of a colony?
Yeah, it's not going to be. It's not going to go to the bottom. I don't believe.
9. Oh, it does say 9 5/8. That's the size of a deep frame, right? So it still would have. Still would. Let me see. Divider.
They're not going to divide like what you say they're going to do. You need to put it in a slot. If you got those hives with already slots in them, then you need to get them out and utilize them.
Yeah, they don't have a divider at Man Lake.
Yeah, you need slots.
Data ant. This is divider. Oh, there was divider board. Well, they got the box that's already divided. And well, that looks like a follower board. Deep box with divider for hive support hive selected assembly. Look at that. $35 for a deep box with a divider in it. And look, it's not even dovetail. It's rabbit jointed. Oh, and they ripped off Pura. Look at the handles upside down. Here you go. Queen rearing hotel. That's
just.
But it's that board. The board is the same size.
Like you say, get some masonite.
Then,
or like Mark down here, Mark Miller, you can get yourself some coroplast. I know you got that, your typical political signboard.
yeah.
Right.
And cut the groove, or if you got a box with a groove in there, cut those grooves in there, slide that thing right straight down, right to the bottom on that there double screen bottom board that Benny's sold you. And then cut the little ears out so they can't get over the top or around the fronts, and make it good, pretty good and tight. And then let them make their own damn queens.
Yep.
And like I say, you need to be thinking about generating hives, making new hives.
Look at this. I use a deep frame with double bubble insulation stapled to it. Make any box into a mini mating box. Do you have a video on that? Because that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, so you just fill in that void, that 3/8.
I guess the bees with that process, I guess the bees are just not, once they run up against it, they're not going to try to force through it too much, I guess.
I mean, bees will mix with bees. I've seen them, where you have double nukes and they have a queen excluder and they will cross over and do whatever they want to do. The main thing, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to break the pheromone so they will make queen cells in them two different boxes.
Right.
If you don't have queen cells to put in there or a mated queen to put in there this early in the spring. But, I don't know, your drone situation also.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be an interesting year. So instead of buying boxes, your recommendation for me would actually be just buy the frames I need for the equipment I've got, the extra stuff.
Try your
and I've got a bunch of
your job
mediums.
this year is to be able to fill 21 more hives full of bees by making some splits, either buying queen cells or mated queens. Either way, I'd get the queen cells and let it go at that. And then, of course, in the springtime, when it's when spring is hitting, you can go put your eggs in there And in 3 days' time, you're going to see queen cells being made.
Right.
And they're going to make their own queen cells. So you don't even have to buy queen cells.
So how did you go about? So all my brood boxes are deep boxes, right now.
Okay.
How did you migrate those into a medium box? Did you set up 2 mediums with
You put a medium box on top and let them migrate up?
Yeah.
Naturally.
Just let them come in, then you put the double screen
You
board
let
in
them go
between
on
those?
up like that. And you take the, let's say 2 mediums off, and then you got some straggler bees in the bottom, and then shake them off.
Well, the reason I'm asking
and
is
then put
because
them on the bottom board, and then if there's some brood in them deep frames, if you're trying to.
so like I've got a deep with 2 mediums on it right now. That strong colony I was talking about, right? There's brood in those mediums.
Okay, and and they're up in the top, right?
Yep.
Come springtime, they're going to be in the top. They're not going to be in that deep box.
Yeah, they're in the top right now. So would you shake all the bees back down to the bottom, queen and everything, put them all back into the deep?
Are you wanting to put them back in the deep or keep the mediums?
Well, I'm thinking that if I put that queen excluder in there, right, the queen is going to be stuck in the bottom. So bees will stay down there and work with her. But then the nurse bees will migrate back up on top of the brood that's up in the mediums, right? Give them a couple days or a day, then lift those 2 boxes, pull the queen excluder, put the double screen board in between them and drop it back down. Now, the queen will be laying in the bottom for a few days, right? Because she can't get up to the top. And then you've got the nurse bees that have come back to take care of those bees in those mediums.
Depends on how many extra bees you got.
Well, I've got bees in the deep and in both mediums.
Are you trying to take the deep box out of the game, out of the mix?
No, so I've got 50 medium supers sitting outside not being used right now that I bought last year.
And you're going to use them for your honey supers, right?
I was, yes, but I never got to use them, right? So now, if I don't have enough deep boxes, I'm trying to figure out how to do the double medium as a deep or as a brood box.
As a brood chamber.
Exactly, like you're doing it.
Well, make a decision that you're going to.
I'm just processing. Well, if I run out of those boxes,
okay. Well,
then I can use the other boxes.
Hive, if your bees and your queen are upstairs in 2 mediums.
Yep. Rotate them down, flip the boxes.
What I would do, I would pull the bottom box out,
right,
completely,
and then drop the 2 mediums.
And I would
down.
drop those 2 down. And then I would, if there's any straggler bees in that deep, you shake them off back into the medium. Put your queen excluder on if you're close to honey season, and I would put a medium honey super on. If not, I would say at least 1, because I don't know how hard your flow is. If it's like Lee talks about that tallow coming in like super strong, I'd have 2 of them. I'd have 2 of them on there.
I don't have anything like that. Right, that I'm aware of.
Okay, well then
I might, but every year they've had to draw new wax out. So
yeah, okay, well fine. Well then you would put a queen excluder on, then you put yourself a honey super on, which would be a medium. So now you got 3 mediums. You got 2 medium brood boxes and a queen excluder, honey super, inner cover, telecover.
So I guess that will effectively allow me to use all of the equipment I have and quick draw out wax quicker for my mediums.
Right.
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to take that deep box with that brood chrome, and you're going to marry that box up with another, let's say another deep box, or something like that. Or
make splits.
You're going to mix up some nukes here. In the meantime, you're growing bees all at the same time here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have deep frames with brood and queen. And now you put bees in that box, and that's going to be your single brood chamber. And then you're going to put a queen excluder on top of that. Once she gets all that, you need to let her alone. You need to let her lay eggs and let them build up till you have a huge number of bees in there.
Mhm.
Queen excluder, put another medium super on top of that. Now, if it's foundation, you put your 10 frames of foundation in there if you don't have any wax, and let them fill honey and pull wax for you right there.
Yeah, so that's kind of been the whole thing is, right? I'm just trying to figure out if I'm not going to purchase boxes this year, the best way to manage the equipment I have, if I run out of deep boxes, to be able to move into double mediums or something like that, to get them to work.
You might like them.
Well, I mean, I'll like it if I'm not spending money on more boxes. I know that for sure.
Well, I think you got supplies. You just have to utilize it. And the main thing is this year is grow bees, grow more hives.
Yeah.
Let them either make their own queens or buy some queen cells, or you start learning how to graft here when the time comes. And I think once you kind of learn, it's like, oh man, this is fun. And this is, it's like, I don't need to spend any kind of money because now, guess what? I'm self-sustainable.
Right.
Yeah, Bob, grafting is easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I learned when I learned in 19 how to graft. And I just went out there and I made a queenless nuke, and I put 10 frames of bees in 5-frame box and put that grafting frame in there. Make sure you grind them damn shoulders off on your grafting frame, flush, graft, put it in there. 6 days later, come back. You should have capped cells.
So when you say that,
put them in an incubator.
So when you're saying that, you're saying grind these little tabs right here off the side.
The shoulders.
These?
Turn around to the end. Point it towards us. All right, now raise it up. You see how you got the fat part and it goes in like that?
Yep, right here.
Yeah.
Grind that all off.
Yeah, grind it down there, flush with that top bar.
Okay. All right.
That will correct the bee space. And then you're going to put a pollen frame next to one side. You're going to put a nectar frame on the other.
Right.
And then you won't have webbing in between the cells. You're going to graft 15 cells per frame. And what is that? Isn't that a banking frame?
No, this is a grafting frame. So you graft direct. This is a Ceracell grafted frame, right? So you graft right into this cup.
Okay.
You see that? Graft right into the cup, and it spins in here and locks in. But it also will fit directly into a roller cage, so you don't have to have multiple pieces. You just have to have that one piece.
Okay.
So then technically after it's capped, I can put the roller on it and put this in my incubator standing up like that, right?
Right. And 5 days after that, you've got a day and a half to put that cell in a
so technically I could do that.
box.
And then after I take these off and put them in my incubator, I could graft the next round and put it right back in the same box, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can usually get 2 rounds in. No problem.
So, and you hear my cops going by.
Was that what it was? I thought it was mine.
So that's the
Well, when you're grafting, do you have to take that off? You don't have a bar that you can flip up where you have 15 of them on there and you can dip them right in there?
No, not on these.
That's the downside of that.
Yeah.
Well,
agree.
I mean, are you talking about? Well, this middle bar, I guess technically it turns, so I could turn that up like that and graft
Can you
it.
turn that top bar at all?
No, it's up against the top frame.
Yeah, that's not a very good idea.
Yeah.
That is fine for maybe using it as a banking cell frame, where she's inside that cage and then you can let the bees feed her.
So once she hatches out, those bees will start feeding her. Even
Should.
Yeah.
so, I could just put that on there and leave it hanging in there like that. Then
Could. I don't like doing that. I like to put them, if they're a virgin, I'd let them walk right into a new hive that's been queenless for a couple days. And all, or really, I made up a queen. I actually made a 2-framer up, and that was the same day I made it up. The same day I walked a girl right into her, and she did just fine.
all right. So Cap's Honey Bee Corner says, would you all get 4 deeps for a first year keeper in anticipation of splitting the next year, or deeps and medium boxes? What's your thoughts on that?
Is he saying that he's going to get 4 hives? Depends on what he wants to do.
Probably 1 hive and then split them. Maybe 2 and 2.
1 out, 1 in, Bob, and I regenerate my cell builder after 2 rounds. I move the builder and add brood and roll. Okay.
I mean, I use a nucleus cell builder, and I'm adding cat brood every week.
Right.
But now what I do is I go back in 3 days.
Are you adding one frame of brood every week?
Mm-hmm. Keep
Cap brood.
Cap brood, not open brood, capped. But you need to bring that frame up and shake every bee off of it and see whether or not there's any cells that you met, because there's always going to be a cell here someplace.
Right.
In most cases.
Right. I've been burnt by that already.
Well, if you're making up a brand new cell builder that's queenless, then you come back and you shake every frame off and check for queen cells, and you rip, either harvest them or rip them out, and then keep adding brood to it, because the pheromones off of that brood will make the bees think they have a queen, or they they don't have to have a laying worker. That's what it amounts to. But they know they don't have a queen, so that's why they make the cells and all. So that's how I kind of do it. The main thing is getting enough bees in the box. I had that one nuke last year. I had 5 over 5, and it was bees from top to bottom. And then I took, use a deep box as a funnel and shake every frame off down in there. And, they're coming out the front and hanging on the front and up on the face and all that. And you wouldn't think none of them could get in there, but by the evening, if you put that cell in there with 15 or 30 cells in there and close it up, all them bees are inside there jumping on them things and all.
Right. Yeah, I do 40 cells at a time.
Yeah, I've not tried that.
But I do a 6 frame. So there's 5 frames of bees, and I have a single frame feeder in it.
Well, I do have a licensed insulated hive like that, and I've been wanting to actually maybe use that where it's insulated, where it guards against being cold at night, and put a 1 frame feeder in the side. And then I bought some of the pollen patties that came and sold with the Apis biologic in it, and 15% real pollen. So I'm thinking, okay, we'll do all that, put a pollen frame in, a nectar frame in, and put a pollen patty in on top of that. It's got the real deal in it and everything else, because I've been using Man Lake's Ultra Bee and making a slurry and pouring that on top of the frames, and they suck it down. But I think the patty would be easier for sure, but I think it's actually going to be more beneficial, I hope. So we'll see what happens there.
I want the Ultra.
I want to thank everybody that ordered my swarm lure from my website and from Amazon. I appreciate you guys.
You're welcome.
Do me a favor when it shows up and you get the opportunity to leave a review. Just put a review on there. It'll help me, because would you believe Swarm Commander right now is ranked #1 on beekeeping supplies? Swarm Commander is right this second, and I'm like 2 or 3 something. I think 360 something, but in all of beekeeping supplies, jackets, all that stuff on Amazon. So I feel pretty good about it, but after a couple of days, so it's not too bad. Just need to sell more lure. That's it. Always sell.
Charlie, I don't keep mine going all year round. I do 240 in a row to take care of all my nukes, and then after the solstice around end of July, I do it again to replace all my queens.
Let me see.
Right.
So I do just 2 separate rounds.
So you just do 40 twice and you're done.
Yeah. That's
And
right. Well, sometimes in the spring I'll do 40 and I might do another single bar at 20. Just because
what kind of return are you getting back from them getting mated and all?
in the spring I get about 75%. If I do it in the late spring, almost like early summer, it drops down to about 50% because I think there's too many little baby birds around.
Birds, dragonflies.
But then if I wait till the late summer, it jumps back up.
All right. So it's
well, I mean, what I've got May, June, and July is my queen rearing months, and that's all I can do. And last year I didn't sell much. Last year I did a lot of my own queens for myself. And then the year before that I sold a lot. And
well, I'm kind of right now I'm banking on the fact that Cutic knows what they're doing, right? So if they're selling queen cells at the beginning of March, then they pretty much have it timed out so they can maximize the number of queens they can raise, right? Mated queens. So hopefully that will help me with what I'm doing. The fact that they know the time of this year better than I do for queen mating down here. So,
well, if you can buy them for $5 a piece or something like that, and you can go over there and get, 20 or 30 of them, whatever you need, and I would do it, and that way all I'm looking at is trying to maximize your growth for this spring.
Well, and that's why I'm surprised James hadn't jumped on here because he was the growth master last year. I mean, from 15 to 78 colonies in a single year.
But like he said,
and in a short period of time.
Right. He did all that. And then another thing he was also, I believe he told us, was the fact that, he is in dire need of wax frames. As the old saying goes, wax is gold to the beekeeper.
Right.
And it's just like last year. I was producing honey and I went ahead and I said, I'm running out of boxes, medium boxes. And so I went and bought 20 right quick. And I didn't use them all. I think I used 5 or 10 out of the 20. I down in the basement right now. Before Hive of Life, I started painting them. I got to get back down there and look at them, see what I need to paint them again. And that kind of stuff. But, this year I'm going to try to spin it out and not have them as high as a skyscraper.
So harvest honey more often and reutilize the already drawn wax as much as you can.
Yeah. And they will fill. You get a wet super that's been just, extracted. And I think because there's that wet honey in there, the what's left in there, that smell and all, that
they go and clean it up and they know that, hey, this is where it goes. We got to pack it more. And I'm going to have to start extracting throughout the honey. Well, in the latter part of the honey season. So that's what I thought I would do this year is kind of checkerboard my honeycombs in with empty
And it's
frames.
like Brian said, chase the flow.
Right.
Got to chase the flow and all. So that way, instead of, I mean, on them, I got those hive stands back there that my hives, I would have to stand on them and try to put a 60, when I'm going through my hives and I'm equalizing the bottom because it's single brood chamber management, and then putting that stuff somewhere else. Cause I did have some queen issues right in the middle of honey super flow. And I'm putting 60 pounds of honey up top here, whether it be just, liquid instead of capped, and then some of that stuff was capped. So that means if I could go through 12 hives and I can get, 2 frames per hive, or let's say, I got 18 frame extractors. So if I can get 18 frames out of 12 every, week or so, say 90% capped or close to 100, instead of waiting until the end of the season.
I could probably pull right now. If I went outside, I could probably pull 30 to 40 frames of capped frames of honey right now out of
And
my
it was
boxes.
real honey, right? Not sugar water honey.
Yeah, it was already capped. Yeah, but it was already capped stuff that I left on there from the last honey flow.
Yeah.
My thought is once it's capped, they're not going to uncap it, repack it in the wintertime, and then with syrup, right? And
yeah. All I'm saying is, utilize what you already got and grow what you already got. Fill them boxes full of bees, fill them boxes full of queens, and get up there to 40 hives, and all.
I would like to get the 40 colonies with some, nukes to overwinter next year too. So
yeah. Well, that's what you need to be thinking about. And then, and along with all that, I think that the way your season is down there, I think you can still pull a fairly decent honey crop in. And then I think you ought to try my single brood chamber management format and, go in that bottom hive, pull out half the cat brood.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to do a demery, put your honey or put a couple honey supers in the bottom, in between, put a brood chamber there, put those frames of cat brood upstairs. Unless you need them down, that's the thing. If you can go in here and you can take half the amount of brood out,
I also have the benefit of that too. So when I pull up brood, I can just drop a drawn comb in there now, where last year they would have had to draw that wax out to even start laying in it, which just slows everything down.
You need to, right. You need to put the drawn comb back in there and keep cycling.
Right.
And your hive will get stronger and stronger and stronger because you're going to get more bees, but they're not going to swarm because that's the whole, if you watch that second video of my,
single brood chamber management,
where I kind of explain the mechanics, where she'll lay up those 2 bottom boxes if they're mediums or one big deep, and then you keep pulling out half the cap and put it upstairs. Right. Or if you got a hive over here that needs a little boost, put it over there. Give that hive a boost with bee. If you can find her in the bottom and pull 2 frames of capped with the bees, as long as you don't transfer that queen and put it over in another hive that you're trying to grow, you're going to give them bees and brood, and you're going to boost that hive 3 weeks and 3 weeks faster. Right. And it's a I forget what they call it, a domino effect, I guess you'd call it. And once you get this one strong and you get 3 or 4 of them strong and you go in there and I'm talking every 7 days, about 7 to 10 days, and you go, we can pull a frame here, and you got 10 frames of brood with bees. Oh, we can put that over here in them nukes that you've been growing. and you can boost them. Oh, let's put another 5, frames on top of that. Grow them up to 10 frame vertically.
Right.
And then, oh, well, we got 10 frames. Well, we can put them in that deep box I got sitting here empty. Or 2
Right.
mediums I can sit here empty if they're well, I think everything in your nuke wise is deeps, right?
Deep, yeah.
Put them and they got that deep box empty.
But they work good for building out comb too. So when you got a strong 5-frame nuke and you pull up 1 frame up or 2 frames up and drop 2 frames in the bottom, they'll start working those frames out as well.
And then put a jar of juice on top of that and put a box over that with a lid. Or if do it that way.
So,
and I mean, you got feedback.
Yeah, it's Tom. Tom bumped it, I think.
I moved.
You moved and it went.
Oh man!
I got
to somehow turn the volume down.
You need to turn it. It's got an echo in there too while you're at it. Well, that's because of your room, I think.
Yeah, it might be.
It's not bad though.
But anyway, I mean, that's what I would do. I would just keep multiplying and multiplying until, like you say, you went up to around 40 hives. Well, then you got enough material there to make 40 hives and do it. And then I think there'll be some honey coming in too to kind of help you out financially. That way you can sell stuff.
Right.
And all that. So
well, I've been fortunate, knock on wood, and I can't really gauge it. So I don't know if we've had good flows or bad flows, right? So I can't really judge it because I've never really had a full season where I've just been able to say I've got this established colony that's rocking it and just keep putting boxes on them, right? I haven't had that yet. So
well, it's not, you don't see, you say that you got an established colony, but
I've been breaking them down, right? I just haven't let them.
You broke them down too quick and too little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you
don't want to break them down. You want to pull resources from them, but a small amount of resources. But if you've got 15 highs, now you can pull 1 frame out of each.
Right.
You just made 3 nukes.
Right. 3 strong nukes.
3 strong nukes. But you didn't weaken the 15 that you pulled from.
Right.
Which is kind of a balancing game.
Kind of why I didn't mind shaking those nurse bees out today and putting them in that other colony, right? Because it didn't do anything to the big colony. I mean, they've got bees hatching every day in there.
That's what I'm saying. You got to look at it that way. You got to understand how to manage. Don't pull too much out, just a little bit. Enough that it's not really going to set them back if they're that strong.
And if they're, when I start doing the shakes and stuff in the fall, then, when I start shaking them back down, then I can also do some late season splits like that as well. So
in the fall time, what are you going to run? A deep and a medium?
That's what I did this year. It turns out they all moved up into the medium, right? And left very little to nothing in the bottom. So now it's like,
I got one of my guys in the club that runs our apiary for the club. He has a deeps and mediums, and I've asked him about that. I said, how are you going to keep the brood out of the top? Well, if they shake all the bees down, like you say, put a queen excluder in early on, they'll cover the brood, and then she'll be in the bottom with the rest of the bees.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, that's fine. But your medium still a kind of a designated brood frame because it's got brood comb in it. And that's where I kept with my mediums. I was going to go into deeps because single brood chamber management. And then I learned the first year I had 2 mediums. Here it is, July and August. The darn things were, half the bees were outside because they didn't have the room. They were hot. And even with a bottom screen board and all that. And I'm like, I had one little swarm because I overfed them a little bit, and I didn't know. So talked to the guy that sort of mentored me on it, told him what was going on. I said, by the way, I said, I got one box. I had 3 or 4 frames of sugar water honey from springtime where they didn't eat it all. So I put it in the freezer, brought them hives. I said, okay, here's the dirt. They need food. Slap that box back on with a queen excluder. They can eat that sugar water. Well, I went back 2 weeks later. They ate the sugar water all right. And guess what they did? They started putting honey back into the super, filling it. And I called the guy up and I said, what do we do now? Oh, yeah, if that happens, then I just leave that on there. And well, wait a minute. You just told me that you did 2 mediums as your winter configuration, but now you're telling me you're going to leave the 3rd box on there. I said, all right, fine. So what I did was I had that one swarm problem. And you had all those hot bees out there and it was hot and everything. So at night I went down the basement and I pulled 11 boxes out and let them get warmed up. And I took off a couple hours from work that morning. I said, I got to go out here and fix these damn hives before they do swarm on me. And I went every one of them out there. I went out there and I had all this brood comb. It wasn't honeycomb, brood comb. They all got the 3rd medium back like they were originally. And they all went inside and everybody was happy. And I said, okay, this is my way I'm going to do it. I will feed them hives in the fall with sugar water, and that top box and part of the middle box will get full of honey, sugar water honey. And then come springtime, all them bees for the majority will be up in the 2 top boxes. And then I'll pull that bottom box out, shake any straggler bees that are in the bottom because there won't be any brood down there, and take it off and put it back in the freezer and kill anything. And while I'm working them through the summertime. And that worked last year. And now, last year, that's how I did it. And I got them back to 3 boxes. And it's always the problem of like, where am I going to put all these boxes, and like the freezers. Luckily enough, I have freezers. I can do that. I bought some used ones and some new ones. And so this year I said, okay, we're going to do this demery thing. And like we had that one talk with New Year's Eve with Donna and a couple other people that did them. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, instead of taking that bottom box and put it in the freezer, I'm going to make the 2 mediums, queen excluder, honey super, my old bottom brood box right on top. So now instead of me worrying where I'm going to put these brood frames out of these hives, I'm just going to pick them out of the bottom, take the empties from the top brood box, put that down in the bottom, and then put my brood that is capped up top. And I'm going to do a rotational demery that way. And then I'm also going to start extracting honey throughout the season, as long as it's, relatively capped 90%. And that way I can keep my stack low, manageable for the weight. And right. I'll keep a very strong hive that won't swarm.
Daisy asked, did you get your 5 frame excluders?
Yeah, I did. I got a dozen of them from Rossman. I called Candy up like the day before they left. And yeah, we can bring 5 of them up.
Oh, and I do have some nukes coming from Steve. He's going to bring me down some from Virginia. So
who?
Steve from Daisy. Daisy's honey.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's got
Steve's from up in New York State.
Yeah, but he's got bees in Virginia Beach as well.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to be signing out.
All right, Tom. Appreciate you, brother.
Take care, everybody.
All right, good night.
See ya. Night.
So yeah, that's the and Lee's getting out too. So yeah, it is Lee's bedtime. But yeah, so that's the thing. Just not only am I trying to manage my bees this year, I got to manage my equipment, right? So
now Bob, I asked in the chat, does that grafting frame, is that metal screwed in? How's that metal
Yeah,
attached?
it's screwed in.
So couldn't you just unscrew both of them and move them down enough to rotate both of them?
Yeah, I could. I could move this one down to about here.
It's not going to bump at bottom, is it?
It's not going to what?
It's not going to bump at bottom, is it, with the roller cages?
I can move it down that far with it touching the roller cage. Otherwise, I'd have to move it up a little bit, and then probably could put the other one down a little bit.
Honestly, you could probably take that bottom off of it.
Are you talking about this bottom?
Yeah, with those two rails holding it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're not,
I think
taking the rails out.
See, it looks like to me the rail that you got the cage on there, if you could move that down to where it passes the bottom wooden bar when you spin it. But let's see, you wouldn't really be spinning it.
Yeah, I mean, you just really spin it half a turn, right, to lock it in and unlock it.
No, I'm thinking about you're not going to use the cages unless you're ready to hatch, and that's going to be in your incubator.
Right.
So if you, like Spanky says, if you move that top bar down so you can spin it sideways or upside down, you need to take that grafting frame and turn it upside down, spin your bars around so you can grab or spin it I guess it would be sideways, wouldn't it, Spanky?
He can lay it down and spin them sideways.
Lay it down flat and that way, and then lay that frame flat on right like that. Now you can graft right into those cups and take your rag with warm water on it and march it along to mark your place and keep that graft warm.
Right.
And if you're
you need to move that. Go ahead, Spank.
If you're not going to be using them roller cages, you could add more rails to that frame.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't use the roller cage till after the cell's already capped out, right?
But if you're putting them in the incubator, then...
Right.
So, yeah, once I'd take this off and put it in the incubator, I would just stand it up in my incubator, right?
What we're saying is when you're grafting, everything is fragile. And you don't want to be moving that thing by hand and twisting in it and making that larvae maybe flip and then they die on you.
Or knocking the frame over.
Or knock the frame over and all that kind of stuff. You want to be able to put that in there, put it in, you're done. And then what I normally do is I take my bars, my JZBZ bars, and stick it in my frame. And then I make sure that I turn the frame upside down so they're sticking straight up so they don't fall out. Or, shake out more so than anything else. So, but anyway. But that's what I would do for you. I would, utilize the boxes that I have, utilize the supers, and
I might still have to buy a few boxes, but if I'm only buying a few, then I can.
You can afford it.
Yeah. Not have to.
You ought to call. Jose. What's his name?
The California Beekeeper.
No.
Oh no, Octavio.
Chuck is a Man Lake dealer. They're never coming down that way. He could possibly bring you some boxes.
Yeah, but Man Lake's boxes are high as hell.
Oh, well, you never know. You could strike a deal up.
When I come down, we can do a grafting class with you. Hey, for sure, man. That'd be fine. Just tell me what I need to have here. We'll graft up a shit ton of them. I don't care.
Where you reading that?
Sourwood. When Sourwood's going down to Florida. He's got bees in Florida and in Virginia as well. So he's going there to make his nukes up.
Yeah, I actually ordered some grafting tools the other day. They came in and did the Charlie test on the thumbnail.
Hey, all right, so you got some Chinese jobs, did you?
The Chinese jobs, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like
what do
four
you-
of them. They were mangled when they came in the package, but they left me sick.
They say
huh?
the ones that don't bend, they say all you got to do is sand them down and make them thinner, and they'll
Well, you
bend.
say that was the blades bad on them or something?
Yeah, there's like three or four of the six, the 10 that I got were
Yeah.
like folded over the plunger when I
You
in the
mean
packaging.
where they were curled back or something?
Yeah, I'm sure I probably could salvage them. I got to work with it.
Tell you what you do. Why don't you put them in some warm water and get them warmed up and maybe flex. They'll be more flexible and see if that doesn't. And then maybe put them in your mouth and kind of you kind of want you don't want the I don't know. It sounded like to me that they're actually see the tongue is curved around the thing. Is
Around
that
the
what?
top of the plunger, yeah.
Yeah, around the
So
top.
you got the plunger and it's curved up over the top of the plunger.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. You need to straighten them out more so than anything else. So put them in some warm water and see if you can't bend them. Once they get, and then I don't know whether you got a little weight or something that you can maybe a board or whatever lay right on that tongue and let it make it straight and flat. And
That
then
might work, yeah.
and that it'll maybe stay in place after it dries and cools.
Yes, that's a possibility. I can try that and see how that works.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I do. I usually go to Amazon and get about a dozen of them, and I still got a bunch of them. I don't use them all. I find one that's really nice or whatever, and I mark it with a piece of tape, electrical tape or something around the shaft, and that's the one I use all the time. Now I had one like that, and the next year it got it broke on me or whatever. But I think what it is it's you haven't used it for a whole season. You need to wet it or something, and maybe put it in some nice warm water to kind of soften it up, and then it's more pliable. Now, if you ever have a tongue that pulls off of the unit, take the unit apart. You can put a little bit of super glue in there and save that unit if it's a good tongue.
Dennis says he wants to come to the grafting class, so you come down, we'll hold the whole thing. There'll be people driving for miles to learn how to graft, which is a good thing because then I could be like, Dennis, I need a queen. Dennis could be like, Bob, I need a queen. Okay, I got one.
Yeah, the class costs $1,045,000 Canadian.
You're right, or $3.99 US. Yeah, it'll be great. I think I'm gonna do that. I already know that I'm gonna have to replace some of those boxes. So if I'm only replacing 5 or 10, I might as well just go ahead and order them and get them coming and put them together, get them painted, the right way with glue, as compared to the way that I bought them, which was just stapled. And then when the weather gets to them, they bow out. And then gives me time to try to fix those if I can.
See you, Tim.
So, anyway,
yeah, guys, I'm gonna check out myself. I have to get up early in the morning again.
All right, well, everybody, come on to mine tomorrow night at 8:00.
Oh yeah, we'll be there. And hey, order swarm lure from either Amazon or my site, Apis Biologics, my site, Saracel shaker cups from my site. So. Need to finance this this thing here we got going. But need to make it happen. But
you doing anything exciting, Spaggy?
No, I'm just working on some hives. That's about it. Some little hives.
What is it? I don't see it.
This is
okay. Oh yeah, you were showing that.
Well, that's cool. You just been 3D printing away?
Yeah.
I've been
Well, if you were getting into that, what's one of them things cost anyway? Just for curiosity,
Well, it
to start.
depends on what you're hunting for.
Why they have different printers for different things?
Well, I mean, you can get one real cheap, but
Right.
it may not be big enough for you, or it may not be fast enough for you. You know.
That's what she said.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I looked at JCB's or JC's Bees. He bought one and for Christmas, and I think it might have had a. I don't know. The plate looks like it might have been, like, say, 14 inches square or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they make them big ones now. They didn't make them back in the day.
And all that, but I see Jason. What's his name up there in West Virginia? He's got the queen rear, and he made his own queen, or not queen, but drone cages and a lot of different things like that. And I mean, when you make that kind of stuff, I presume that you have to sit there and draw that as a drawing, and so it can follow that.
Yeah, you have to either make the 3D model or have the 3D model on hand, and then you put that model into what they call a slicer. And what that basically does is it tells the printer what settings, so temperature, speed,
How
but
many
it
layers it
also,
needs.
yep, it's the equivalent of doing a bunch of paper printing at once. It slices it into layers, and so
Right.
it's kind of like it's printing like a paper printer. You told it to do it, but because it's 3D, the software automatically generates all that off the model. So you're not sitting there having to manually do it.
Yeah, I just find it. Um, it's not so much the printing part. I think it is what's hard is if you're trying to make a box or a product or whatever, you got to have the idea in your head, and then you got to be able to create that idea three-dimensionally on a uh, engineering program, or
Yeah.
whatever. And
It
if it's
also depends on what you want to do with it. If you're wanting to use it commercially or personally. So, if you want to sell it, you have to watch where you make it, because certain software may be free or low cost, but it may have provisions put into the license that limits your income or prohibits you from doing it commercially without
mm,
paying for their service.
but I'm looking at, like, all right, if you make a box like Jason up there at New River Honeybees, where it's got six. A box has six sides, and and then you've got to create that
Yeah.
image in a three-dimensional drafting image, I guess you would call it. And then you got to, I presume you feed, if it's like a top and a bottom for the wide part, and then you got your sides, that would be one continuous part. But
It
then
just depends on how you design it.
yeah, and then you have to, let's say you're going to try to design a sliding door in there or something like that. I'm not sure how you do that, but it just seems like um, there's a lot to it. I mean, the
Yeah.
learning curve of that thing has got to be horrendous.
It
I
depends on the software.
Hmm.
Blaine, Texas, he's picked up SolidWorks, and he's doing stuff on it, and he'll tell you he's not been using it for long, and that's a new program for him. Don't think it's a new field, but it's a new program, and sometimes a new program can be equivalent to a new field.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find Mark's email, and I can't find it in my emails to send it out.
Our Cajun wants to know what we're talking about tomorrow, Charlie. I don't know anything.
Got to tune in and find out.
I mean, I don't really have any particular subject. I just want it to be. I always like to be more of an intermediate to advanced beekeeping. You know, as far as it could be queen rearing, it could be, you know, how much more can we talk about bees? But that and experience, and whoever's going to be on there can always interject with some interesting topics and stuff.
Yeah, see,
Um,
Blaine's only been doing the SolidWorks itself for 2.5 months. He's been in that field for 25 years, but then you get learn on a program and then you have to move to a different one. That's like a Windows user. Hey, go use this Mac. You know, you have to
yeah.
relearn all that.
Well, it's just like myself when I'm doing the videos. Um, uh, I had the one video editing software, and I just couldn't make it. I just couldn't get it to work right. Now I got this Wondershare Filmora 11 right now, and it's easier and easier. Now it's just like I got my newest video coming out tomorrow about hive life, and I did a completely new intro screen, and it took me 9 months to figure out how to do the layering in order to make the color, the background colors, and then understanding how you put it all together. Then you have to render it, and that brings it out as a unit, and that's what you put on your screen time after time after time. So it's and I've got some different music and set of the sound effects I used the last time. I basically copied what um let's see, what's the guy in the down Louisiana's channel, um Mike Berry's. I kind of copied what he did originally. I liked what he had. I couldn't get the colors because I didn't understand it.
Well, hey guys, it's 10:23. We're gonna call
Yeah,
for
I'm ready to
tonight,
go.
and we'll see you tomorrow night on Charlie's channel. Good
Yep,
night,
so I'm
everyone.
not Charlie. All right, guys. We'll catch y'all later.
All right, good night.
See ya.